Oh, God. We might have to just do all of that again. Right, this time,
He's probably listening, sorry.
I think we really are live.
Okay.
So, and it still is day 4 of Light+Building, and it still is day 3 of broadcasting from Ligman.
I think the appeal of us is our amateur,
Complete
attitude
inept.
to things.
Anybody could do this, couldn't they? Really? Let's face it.
But as I
Probably
said when I thought we were live, please remember we're lighting designers, not professional broadcasters.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, as we said, day 3, we've got some new guests, and I call them guests because that's a very loose term for people that you've dragged in and forced to sit next to you because they don't really have a choice. It's more like prisoners.
But these two are fresh meat at Light+Building. We have Faraz from UAE and we have Glenn from USA. We'll get you introduce yourselves.
I'm Glenn Schrum from the USA, director of the lighting design program at Parsons, plus principal of Flux Studio.
I'm Faraz. I'm working in the United Arab Emirates and Abu Dhabi as a lighting designer with a company called KU International Consultants since the last approximately 10 years now.
Okay.
Work quite closely with Madam.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, on some of the projects that he was working on when he was. Oh, okay. So that's how you know him.
He was the lighting expert.
Yes.
What
He's no longer a lighting expert.
He's missed there in the region. He's
Mr. Light.
Mr. Light. How long have you been in lighting, Glenn?
I've been in lighting since 1990s.
Never ask a lady their age.
Yeah. You do look a lot younger, though.
Long enough to remember before LEDs.
Whoa, that is old.
Oh.
As you've just arrived, it's going to be a bit hard to ask you about trends. Not on? Okay. All right. But ask you about trends. But if you've walked around a bit of the show, has anything jumped out and hit you as a trend for 2018?
Acronyms.
Acronyms.
Got any examples, Glenn?
LED.
Yeah, that's good.
1. IoT.
We saw
HCL.
later.
PoE.
Human-centric lighting.
PoE.
Power over Ethernet.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
WELL. It's a big thing this year.
WELL.
We have been laughing at the kind of taglines or straplines that companies use, because some of them mean nothing. And all these lovely manufacturers out there trying to sell us light fittings, they're having these taglines.
We know that the guys from Spears and Major were literally going around photographing, trying to find the worst tagline. But we won't embarrass anybody.
No, we won't share them. If you want to know, ask Ian Ruxton at Spears and Major.
So, Clarence, are you here at Light+Building? Are you looking for something specific related to a project, or are you just with a big sort of wander around and see everything?
I would say it's a mix. There are some things which I'm particularly looking for some special project applications, and of course, being in Light+Building, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Ocean of information. Apart from the acronyms for sure that we discussed right now, but yes, it's always an exciting experience.
You're the first person to mention the acronym, so that's quite cool. We haven't talked about that before. Have you got a plan, Glenn?
Well, what I plan to do is walk around and see a lot of amazing light fittings that I'm not able to.
Sorry, you take my microphone, and I'll see if I can sort this one out while Sharon keeps on talking. Keep going.
Glenn,
So
carry on.
As a U.S.-based lighting designer that does most of my work in the U.S., this fair is a large tease, really, because there's so little.
You can't have any of it.
I can't have it. So I go, I find out what I really think is interesting, and then I ask the manufacturers what we can get in the U.S., and the list gets much, much shorter.
Yeah.
But it does help to stay in touch with trends and see where things are going. But
Just
this is
see what you might have in 10 years.
exactly. I can't wait.
Do you want to say, you said, I don't think you were working when you answered the last question, so do you want to say again?
Sure.
What you're looking for.
Yeah. Martin asked me if it is something in particular that I'm looking for. Yes, there are some product applications that I'm actually searching for. Plus, of course, the huge ocean that Light+Building is. It's always, it's like a major reset for all of the lighting industry every 2 years to catch up with the trends, to see what's happening in the industry. Apart from the acronyms, of course.
I really like that. I like the fact that you can you come here and everybody you know is here, and you just get to meet everybody and catch up with them. That's my
not about
favorite
the lights.
bit.
Not
Forget
about
the
the
lights. It's meeting the people.
Is anybody giving you any sort of recommendations, like you must go and see? Yeah. What? Tell us.
Do you want to share, Glenn?
Share.
Come on.
I've been hearing a lot about XAL.
Yes. Have you seen?
And we like XAL.
I haven't,
okay.
but I plan to later in the evening. And of course, the light experience from Xeni.
That's worth it.
I've got an appointment at 4:40. I've got a booking, so directly I think from here I'll be heading there.
Going over there.
Yeah.
And the Ingo Mauer inflatable luminaire.
Oh,
I haven't heard about that one.
You're the first one to mention that one.
Programmable array. Yep, I've been hearing about that.
Is it going on the list, Sharon?
I'm going to make a little list.
I haven't been to any of these places. This is just secondhand knowledge.
Yeah.
Bad recommendations.
That's the whole purpose of our mission. Is we thought we would sit here for 4 days and get people to come and tell us where to go, so we don't have to.
So you have a very efficient last afternoon.
Exactly.
So no. So the morning after each little chat, we go out and look for these things. But we've seen a couple of laser products.
Yeah. Lasers are in this year, aren't they?
Interesting that they're here. We looked at the Parhelion.
Parhelion, who are out in the Agora, which is a beautiful out there today. It's lovely, the sun's shining. They've got basically a laser that's exciting a phosphor that goes through a diffraction grating. Obviously, Glenn, you understand all of this scientific stuff.
Being a clever.
Where does it go next?
And then it comes out as light with the crispest shadows you can imagine. So that's worth. And Stanley, the Japanese guys. I don't know if you've heard of Stanley. They lit Niagara Falls, so you can definitely get them in America. Or is that Canada? Or is it both?
It's very close.
Okay. They've got a laser-based product where it's like seems to be like a screen of phosphor, and they're exciting it with a scanning laser. Right. So the beam of light can move around and highlight different things. But it's laser, which people were saying could be the next new thing.
A few people said laser's coming. I mean, it's
out in Agora?
It's out there.
The Pantheon is out in Agora, and
Parhelion,
and Stanley are in 4.1, I believe.
Yeah.
4.1.
The other thing that was a little bit different is the lens. What's it called? Lens vector.
Lens vector,
which is a technology a few companies are using. We saw it at Targetti and at Forma.
Yep.
And it's you're better explaining.
No, I told you to look on the website and read it. It's like a lens technology, but I don't know. It's a liquid crystal display. So it's not a moving lens, and when you put a current through the liquid crystal display, the consistency of the display changes, and the beam goes from a really focused to a diffuse.
They have like narrow to flood.
Really
so
nice.
there's no moving parts. It's just contained in the lens. That's quite clever.
Yeah, that's specialty lighting, which is a U.S. manufacturer, has
lens vector. That's exactly the thing they have. Yeah, people are licensing it from the guy who invented it, basically. I believe.
So other companies are using it.
That's exciting stuff.
But you asked who had the best giveaways.
Yes,
that's Glenn's really interesting.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question.
This is the other reason I come to Light+Building.
We've been asking people the best giveaways, and do you know ProLict?
Yeah.
ProLict are giving away a customized bag, so you go in and you sort of go to an iPad and you pick your straps and your connections and your zips.
There's massive queues.
There's hundreds of people queuing up to get this free bag.
That's a good
lasers. I want
swag.
Swag.
I don't know. I mean, we've heard about the normal kind of giveaways, but that appears to be the best one.
Oh, okay.
The other thing we've talked about is who has the best snacks. I don't imagine you might be.
Again, that's really important.
Have you come across any good snacks?
Yeah, I was at Tralix booth in the morning. So
What
yeah.
do they? What do they have?
They've got bagels in the morning.
Yeah.
Bagels, and then they had something else as well. I don't remember what, but they had some good cookies and. But I haven't explored many yet, so I am yet to give my final verdict. What was my final?
Yeah.
Yes.
Come back to us.
I will.
What would you say the best thing is about coming to Light+Building?
It's I would say it's just looking at the scale of the innovation which happens in a span of 2 years. Just with the LED industry now, there are so many advancements going on. Every month there is a new thing. So, and in all, after every 2 years, you get to see all of it cumulatively.
Yeah.
In all of its togetherness. So that's something really amazing, and it amazes you, like the development from single chip to all the it's amazing.
Things, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got many students from Parsons out here with you, Glenn? No.
Not many.
Not
no,
many.
There are only
We've
a
heard,
couple
we've
that I know
heard that
of.
there was a few. Layla, we saw
Yeah.
Layla yesterday. She was wandering around.
It is Parsons Spring Break. It aligns on Parsons Spring Break this year, which is great because it usually doesn't. But not
so they
too
don't
many.
go to Miami to party on the beach. They come to Light+Building. I thought Spring Break was just
about
about
the
partying
partying.
on the beach.
Yeah, all those movies. Those
21
movies.
Jump Street or whatever it is. They're down at Spring Break.
Not serious
I've always
Parsons
wanted to be in America.
students. Not Parsons students.
No,
They come here.
And they work on their thesis during break, I have to say.
Dedication.
Some of them think that that's an important thing to do. I have no specific opinion about whether they should be doing that over break.
Maybe
Well, I think for me, to the question of why come to Light+Building, when I compare it to the other fairs that I go to, this is maybe with the exception of some of the other bigger fairs in Europe, but to be able to see light fixtures in application at a scale and with a level of thought that is consistent with how we use it how we use the tools in the field is just an amazing thing. The booths themselves become as much what I come to see as anything. Every year, something that I think is really smart and creative.
No, I totally. There's nothing like Light+Building every 2. It's massive and it's just huge. You can't. I don't think there is anything else that I've ever been to that competes with it. No. It's just so big. It's incredible.
I'm going to pick a random question.
Okay, and then we can let them go back on their way and wander around the halls, get some snacks.
Okay, this is my random question. If you were going to give like a sort of top tip for a first-time visitor, what might you say? If you were coming for the first time, what would you recommend people do?
My recommendation would be don't fall for acronyms and see the actual application and then decide for yourself.
Yeah.
How much the acronym holds true, because many of the things out there it's just technical jargon. So you have to really get into it to get a feel of it rather than just.
Yeah.
Don't get sucked in by the technical sales.
I think you need to have a focus in what you're looking for, because if you just come in to experience it, you'll get overwhelmed and you won't make it anywhere and you won't remember anything. So whether it's things that you've heard of from other people that you need to go see or that you want to go see, or if it's coming with specific application, it's just way too big to just let it soak in.
It's terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah.
You'll get overwhelmed and then you won't remember any of it.
Word of mouth is good.
Yeah.
Because every now... like Lisa Rishi said, go and see Stanley.
Go and see the Stanley laser. That was the sort
so
of
you
new
have
thing to us.
like these recommendations, sort of just looking around. But if some like group of designers find something interesting, then it stands to reason that you might, or there's a good reason for that.
Yeah.
So most people said wear trainers. That's a top tip. But hey, do you want a random question? And then
Okay, let me take a random question, which is the same as the random question you picked. What's your favourite hall in Light+Building?
That's a good question.
Thank you. I thought of it all myself. Because
it's 3.
3.
Yeah, it's 3.
Absolutely.
Where all the big boys are.
Yeah.
Where all the big boys are.
We actually went to Hall 8, didn't we, on Monday? And
for the first time ever.
For the first time. I've never been to Hall 8 before. It's about a mile and a half that way.
Wow.
Is that the Chinese hall?
No, it was
plugs.
Plugs and cables.
And,
But we went because Christopher Bauder, German lighting designer and light artist, had done an installation in there for a plugs and connectors company. He'd made a giant digital fireplace.
And as it was -4
freezing.
outside, it was really nice to go, and it actually felt warm, like sort of standing there.
Yeah, so there, Hall 8, give a go.
Thank you for talking
to us.
Thank
you very much.
Sorry about the mic thing at the beginning, but thank you.
That's normal for us, isn't it? See you soon. Right, we'll be back in 5 minutes.
I don't know.
You look pretty good.
We are back.
Yes.
It is on, Sharon.
Okay, that's good. We're actually, it's going out live on YouTube, so if you're, information. We have a new guest with us, a new lighting friend. We have Mr. Paul Gregory.
Man that needs no introduction.
From the USA. Paul, do you want to introduce yourself to our thousands of viewers?
Why, that's lovely. I'm Paul Gregory. I'm a lighting designer in New York. I'm the president of Focus Lighting, which has been going for 30 years now. We've got about 35 designers and do hospitality and residential and special projects like the Times Square Ball and museums and interesting work.
You've probably got one of the most impressive studios that I've ever seen. That your studio in Holland, when we came to visit, it was fantastic. We've talked around it everywhere else we go. You should see Paul Gregory's studio. It's amazing.
It was nice because the Parsons students showed up the other night. There were 20 of them, and they've seen so many New York design studios, and they were also complimentary as to the creativity that's there, which is really what it's all about. It's not. When I started it 30 years ago, it wasn't about doing the biggest job. Howard Branston had just relit the Statue of Liberty. Yeah. And that's exciting, but if you're about doing a big job, somebody's always going to do a bigger one. So we thought to do a kitchen and do it better than anybody possibly could. That was the idea. And so now we just do one project after another as best we possibly can.
You've got all that space to experiment in, and that's what we got out from George Studios. How hands-on you were as a practice?
Well, it's you if you're an architect and you design you use a wall surface, it's because you've touched it. And if you're a lighting designer and you spec a downlight, have you held it? Have you used it? Have you? Not always, and that's not okay. Yeah. For us, you have to have had it in your hands and focused it. And if the sharp edges cut you or it didn't dim all the way down on a standard dimmer, you have to know before you can specify it. It's not okay.
Yes.
We believe in that a lot. That's a
big
deal.
That.
So how long have you been at the show?
I
just
got
arrived?
Here just Tuesday morning.
Okay.
and right to the show, and there's so much here that it really puts the pressure on the lighting designer to be more creative.
Yeah.
Because there's tools, now the tools are there. There's no excuse that, oh, that isn't available, or oh, I can't do this, or I couldn't get this wall wash on a 30-foot wall. It's you can, and you have to justify its importance for the budget, because everybody has a budget, but it's a much more creative time for us than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And that's exciting.
Yesterday, Ian Ruxton from Spears and Major made a really good point. Yeah. He said that because LEDs have improved so much, we're now getting manufacturers use them in products we used to have, so like gobo projectors or things like that. So we used to have them, then we didn't.
Yeah,
and now
big thing this
now
year
we have
was
them
optics.
again. So yeah,
I think the biggest change I'm seeing is in engineering, because years ago there was an incandescent lamp or quartz lamp or a metal halide lamp, and there were designers who tucked that lamp back into a housing and tucked it back into a reflector and put a Coilex below it and thought about the glare to the eye and thought about the natural shielding of the eyelid, and they were all about the quality of light. And then the LED happened, and it was all about engineering. And those engineers were chemical engineers or electronic engineers. They were not lighting people. Yes. And now they started to see the corporate culture has changed, and they understand the quality of light on the face more than ever before.
Yeah. That's totally.
It's an interesting. That's a big change, because it was just lumens per watt.
Yes.
It was. There was no quality. Quality didn't matter. It was just amount.
Yeah.
And now that's changing more and more and more. And warm dim. I mean, the idea that let's make everything dim like an incandescent lamp. In the turn on and turn off, they've redone the circuitry for the turn on of the LED lamp, because the power supply has to charge up and then cause the lamp to dim up.
Yes.
And when it dims down, it's sort of the reverse. The power supply is still getting a little power.
Yeah.
It's different circuitry on the up and the down. It's really incredible, the quality that's happened. So.
So is there anything you've stumbled across since you arrived yesterday morning that you thought was really unusual or special?
Best of show?
Inspiring? You're allowed to mention them on air. We're not.
Well, I was at the Dolly booth.
Yeah.
And the idea, I mean, there's a terrible problem coming in control. If you have company A with their Bluetooth mesh and company B with their Bluetooth, they don't talk to each other.
Yes.
And then there's 0 to +10 over here, and then there's an awful lot going on. And if you have a $10 an hour employee who's there to maintain the hotel lobby, it's not fair. Those 7 lights are out. Well, why? Well, just go on program. Not that program. Go on the other program. You don't have the updated program. You need to get. That's a difficult problem, and Dolly requires feedback. It has to say, is the lamp lit or is the lamp unlit? Is the power supply receiving voltage back from the source or not? And so there's a lot of technology there that at the moment is too complex.
Yes.
And if you have an office of 10 people, you might have a company, an IT company, where you call them up and they say, I have a problem, and they go into your computer remotely and they fix it and they leave.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's where we're going to be with lighting systems. That if the restaurant goes down at 5 o'clock and there are 200 people showing up at 7, it's a That's a problem. That's a significant problem.
That we've not had before,
Somebody was talking about that at one point. Wasn't light as a service? So you're not selling like fittings, you're not selling design, you're selling light. And then you guarantee that the quality and the design are provided throughout the lifetime.
As a designer, what is your responsibility?
Yeah.
Because, to design a great place is wonderful, but how do you keep it maintained?
Yeah.
An artist, a glass artist in New York, talked to me once about his living portfolio, that he goes around to each of his projects and tunes them up, and then I went back to the office and we do the same thing. We went down to Tavern on the Green and refocused
I would love
that
to
night, and we went down
have
to
that
here
opportunity
because it's our work.
And you want it to be perfect.
There's nothing sadder than seeing something you worked on. I drive past a project in London and I look at it and I'm so sad, but I have no contact with them anymore.
We have a big thing about maintenance. And, early on in the job, and this is to all designers, early on in the job, the client is very agreeable.
Yes,
And at that point, to say, you're going to have to bring somebody in once every 6 months to do a little tune-up. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Are we designing to that, or are we designing to, like, you turn it on and nobody's ever going to go in again? Because that means, like, no adjustable fixtures.
Yeah.
They all have to be just downlights.
Yep.
Because, or if you're going to work on it and keep it great, are you going to keep it great? Tavern on the Green was a wonderfully beautiful restaurant. And there were 3 guys that went there twice a week and touched up the white paint. It was all, the old one always looked great, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I met one of the guys. He said, well, we go in there,
maintenance.
Any heel marks, any scuff marks, any nicks, all fixed.
And we should treat lighting like that.
Yeah, we should treat lighting like that.
Well, we should. We need to, because it's that important.
And if you get that in with the client during the design process, then that's the time to do it, isn't it, really?
Everybody now has a really small, like the size of my thumb, track accent.
Yeah.
There are 25 of them here.
Yeah.
And to have that around your room, around your residence, you have things that you really like. What if you just accent just those?
Yeah.
And you change them once every 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to move the accent. The accent has to be small. And now it's here. It's really kind of a great time.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was trying to find a way not to say it rudely, but you've obviously been coming to Light+Building for a while, many years.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I wanted to find a way to say it in a lovely way.
Of knowledge.
You're incredible.
Well, no, since the Earth cooled, I've been here. Yes.
I've been to quite a few. It was, but no, I just sort of wondered, like, obviously each time people sort of say, oh, that was the year that LED really, kind of came of age, or would you say that? Do you think there's something that's going to be happening here?
Something that
you're
people
like
are going to talk about.
Say like, oh, that was the year that I kind of. Hang on, you.
I'll keep talking.
Okay. All right.
Not that comes to mind. It's a decorative time. I mean, the idea that now the marketplace, if you take a look around, there are fixtures and systems that simply put this in the conference room, put that in the entry, put this in the offices, and you're really done.
Yeah.
And you can do it without a lighting designer. The architect or the interior designer can do it themselves.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Yes.
And so the whole mid-range method, I guess it's the same as when the deep cell parabolic fluorescent happened.
Yeah.
That became the answer to
It's a
offices.
tool and answers all the questions.
And now there's a tool that gives a little uplight, 30% uplight, 60% downlight, is half inch by half inch. It's really tiny and does the accenting. And it's a standard product. You just buy it in a 6-footer, put it over a desk, you're done.
Yeah.
And that's good for the for the standard offices. So that's the mid-range is getting filled out.
Yeah.
In a way that it did years ago.
Yeah, that's
with
a good,
other sources.
good point.
But even with maybe with a little bit more quality. So we've got to work a bit harder.
Yeah. So outside the show, have you got a good restaurant recommendation?
Oh my God, have I got a good restaurant?
If you're going to ask somebody, that's a good, Paul Gregory is the man to ask.
There's an Italian restaurant that
here we go.
Unbelievable.
Tell us.
And has Zambaglione or Zambaglione is
Zambaglione.
Which is hard to find.
Yeah.
Yes.
But hang on, and I'm coming up with a name. It is Vina da Sabatina.
Vina da Sabatina. Okay.
On 81.
81 Gruberberg.
Oh my God, was that good?
Anyway, 81 somewhere German.
Yeah, there you go. That was and a dessert that you can't find.
That's
the one.
On that note, with Paul Gregory's restaurant recommendation, we will end. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A 5-minute break. And we're back on.
Now,
Audio is on.
Obviously, our huge audience that's watching is, full of suspense. Yeah, hi, Mum. It's full of suspense because they don't know who's coming next.
No,
Every time, it's like an amazing surprise.
It's almost like we don't know who's coming on next.
I've got a list.
I know you have.
I'm very organised.
I can't see Paul Nelson.
We're on that list.
He said he was coming tomorrow. Anyway, we have our next two guests. One of them's a bit croaky from over past. So we have Paul very open.
I don't like the name. I don't like the new Phillips name. Signify, isn't it? Signify, yes.
Martin said it looked like a Netflix sci-fi program.
Yeah, I think it's like Spotify, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But,
they probably spent a huge amount of money coming up with that. Yeah.
Everybody's been very complimentary so far.
I haven't actually seen the logo.
You know what I mean? But do you want to introduce yourself?
Sorry, I'm not doing very well at that. I apologise.
Mark from Nolte in Dubai. Just landed about 2 hours ago, so
you can't answer any questions.
I don't know anything about the show.
Thanks for coming.
What the hell?
And we what do you want to know about us? We have an office in Dubai, London, Beirut, and now Miami.
We saw that, and you're looking for an office manager, I believe.
The little joke we've been having is Paul's picking places he likes to holiday in.
That's not a joke.
Haven't you got somebody in India as well? Did I see that?
Not yet. But we're looking for someone in Whistler.
Goer's lovely. Goer's lovely.
No, you got to cover the winter skiing. He's got his summer holidays.
As well.
What about Brazil?
What about Brazil?
I mean,
it's a nice
holiday destination.
It's a lovely place to go.
No, it's ski destination. Yeah. He's got summer covered.
Yeah.
All right. That aside,
yes.
How are you picking your locations for offices? There's a sensible question.
Okay, honestly, Dubai, because we're doing lots of work in the Middle East, obviously, and it's kind of a strategic hub. Beirut, we just found a really good person, and I'm a believer you find your star striker and you build your team around them. So, found a really good person. She was in Beirut, and actually, it's kind of strategically quite good for North Africa, and we're winning quite a bit of work, through North Africa now as a result. And it felt like the next step. I'm a believer you have to keep moving forwards, because if you stand still, you go backwards. So strategically, we were looking: do we go to Southeast Asia or do we go to the States? And it kind of felt right to go to the States. Logically, we would want to be East Coast because of the time difference. We didn't want to go to New York because it is a very saturated marketplace. So for our first foray into the States, so then you start, put a pin in the map and decide where. And
where does Virgin and BA fly to?
Yeah.
So Dubai was the first office.
Dubai was the first office. Yeah, which Mark heads.
How many people have you got with you in Dubai now, Mark?
We are 13 now.
13
in Dubai, just over 2 years. So it's growing into quite a beast.
That is grown quickly, hasn't it?
I thought it was 15, so...
it was, we got rid of 2.
We've lost 2 somewhere.
I remember Mark Major ages ago going, I just don't know who anyone is or what they do. Or not.
In my company, who are they?
If it helps, they don't know who I am either, so...
We had Kai sat there yesterday, and he said, yeah, we've got 102 people. We were like, wow, that's 100 more than us.
It's a lot of mouths to feed,
a
lot of people to manage.
So you've got a way to go yet. You can still expand.
Right, so Paul's been at the show a bit longer than Mark.
What do you think Mark should go and see first?
Okay. Recommendations for Mark?
I think my award for the most progressive lighting company here is XAL, actually. I think
everybody's saying the same thing.
I totally agree with you.
I think the show, there are so many, sorry, a very loud person in the background there. I think the show is a lot of Me Too product. There's loads of magnetic stuff. There's loads of laser blade rip-offs. There's loads of miniature downlights. It's kind of convergent design. Which is a bit of a shame. Whereas I think XAL have kind of they're trying new stuff.
They've pushed the boundary, haven't they? They've done something that nobody else has done.
We went on the stand and we said to Paul Wellborn, show us one product, because if anyone shows us more than one product on the stand, then we're just a bit old and befuddled, can't remember. And he said, I've got one to show you. So we're like, followed him, and he showed us Uniqlo. And then every person we've spoken to has said, go and see that product. So we're all agreeing which is really cool for them, I think, to have something unusual.
They're going to like that.
I've also been very impressed with Occhio. Product
was that because of the food?
The food's great. Great steak. No, I think what I like about Okkio is the way they're branding themselves. It's not really about the product for me. It's more their brand positioning. I think is very clever and very different from the rest of the lighting industry. So credit where credit's due. I think.
In what way?
Very much lifestyle.
Okay.
So they want to be a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
That's like us, like Light Collective.
We've got a lifestyle company. Although Paul's winning because he's going to Miami and Beirut.
He doesn't go. He just sets up the office and Skypes in.
Puts a portrait
from his armchair.
Cut out in every office.
A big photograph of him in every office with a crown on.
I could imagine that.
It's a triptych.
The many faces of Paul.
Yeah, the shrine.
Sorry, well, we need to stop.
We've gone now.
All right, sorry. Okay.
Ask some sensible
All right,
questions.
I'll pick a random question. Are you here looking for something specific, like for a project or something?
We have been tasked to find some street lighting, possibly solar-based, for a project in Qatar. So that's an option. I'm not a big fan of it at the moment, the huge panels, and so it'd be interesting to see if there's a different, obviously the vertical technology and how that's progressed. So that's the sensible answer.
Yeah. Well, you're probably just here for the snacks? Or?
I'm here for the good food, and I have to shout out, did I mention that Okkio have got really good food?
You did mention that their snacks were very nice.
But the reason Paul's got a kind of croaky voice is because he was partying.
I saw a photograph of you in the Irish bar last night, I believe, on social media at some point.
Yeah. I may have frequented that place too much.
At what time?
I don't know what time it was.
I don't know what time. Am I looking for anything in particular? No. Actually, what? Genuinely, it's just nice to catch up with people.
Yeah.
We're so busy back home, and us lighting designers don't really socialise very much, do we? Not like we used to. So it's nice to actually just see.
We're all socialising.
I'm just in Miami. It's just really nice to see people that you haven't seen for a long time.
We've said to a lot of people, like, what's the best thing about coming to Light+Building? And quite a few have said, just seeing people. Because everybody's here and you get to catch up with
lights.
we get the lights. You just get to see people you haven't seen for a long time.
My theory on it is, any good sales company, any good manufacturer, they're going to come and see you anyway in your office.
Yeah, exactly.
So actually,
there's a few stands we said, there's no point going on there because we've seen it all, we know it, and stuff.
Yeah.
But okay, 2 more random questions and then we'll
release you back to the wild.
from this misery.
Oh, look, so I was going to ask you that random question, but I've already asked you that. You've already said that. Oh no, that's a good one. What would be, Mark? I'm going to ask you this one. Your top tip for a first-time visitor to Light+Building?
Top tip?
Yeah.
Good shoes.
Good shoes.
Yep. Good shoes.
That's a very popular top tip. Paul?
Barocca. Like, what were we talking about? That isn't good shoes. Don't be afraid to ask. I remember the very first time I came to Light+Build, kind of slightly, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of in awe of everything. Almost, a little bit. And actually, don't be afraid to go up to somebody and say, "Show me around your stand."
Yes.
Don't just kind of be a wallflower hanging out on the back.
Yeah, so, go in and ask them.
Don't be afraid.
But also, I think to critique stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Because in general, they show you and you go, yeah, and like, kind of.
If you don't like it.
But tell them because this is people are launching things and it's a good time to give feedback. So don't be scared to critique stuff as well, or question it, or why they're doing it.
Yeah.
You asked when we went to see Parhelion laser company outside.
Have you seen them?
And you said, okay, so why would I use laser over LED? And they tried to give us some reasons. There's a few reasons, but in general, it's a good question. We need to know.
Yeah. Why would we use laser?
Go and see them. Go and see them.
And this is
2 reasons.
2 reasons what?
To use it.
The first one they showed us, and they were saying was the quality of the shadows. So when you've got a light source created through laser, through a light diffraction grating. See, I'm going all science now. You get really, really crisp shadows. So the shadow, there was no fuzz around the edge at all. It was beautifully crisp shadows, which apparently causes less eye strain. So I don't know where that comes from, but
Okay.
And the other one was they were saying they were more efficient than LEDs. So there you go.
I'm pulling a face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Cynical face.
We're going to release you back into the wild.
The two places to see lasers, there were Parhelion in the Agora, so outside, and Stanley in Hall 4.1, the Japanese guys.
Yeah, I saw Stanley. They got some really cool automotive stuff, haven't they?
Yeah.
It was really
Well, they have a little special secret VIP room. You have to
ask. At the back,
oh,
you have to ask.
I didn't get an invite there.
Don't be afraid to ask.
You sent the kinetic. The first one
in Hall 1, I think there's like a kinetic sculptural company. Which
Christopher Bowder.
Christopher Bowder,
he's our friend.
White
Yeah, he's a really good guy. He was in our film. Really good guy. He's also got a light installation in Hall 8.
There's and lots of people are talking about the mist projection onto the mist that you can move and swipe in a Minority Report
kind of way. That one.
Which I think is Xbox Connect, but somebody might tell
we
me
did
I'm wrong.
see somebody dancing in a box with a signed gesture control.
I didn't.
Ian Rupson showed me a video.
You never see enough people dancing in a box.
It was in the show, I would have. Right, let's
release
these two.
Was it in one of those clubs last night?
Oh, maybe it was on social media. Right.
All right.
Let's get out of here before I say something else.
Thank you very much.